There is a wide variety of estimates online about how many tomato plants you will need per person per year. Most online gardening plans say about 4 plants per person. That number is much lower than what we get when we approach this question by estimating how many pounds of tomatoes we use in a year. When we calculate it this way, the internet tells us that for what we consume in a year, fresh and canned, we need to grow around 25 tomato plants per person. How do we get to 25 plants per person? Well, we went to our pantry at the end of the canning season and counted. We had 52 quart or 1 liter jars of stewed whole tomatoes at 2 pounds of tomatoes each. We can our tomatoes whole. It would be more tomatoes if we had that many jars of the same size of sauce. 36 pint jars of salsa at 1 pound of tomatoes each. 24 pint jars of ketchup and chili sauce at 1.5 pounds of tomatoes each. And 24 half-pint jars of tomato juice at half pound of tomatoes each. Saving all of our seeds and skins and cores from our canning yields a bonus of around 20 pounds of waste, turning into 40 4-ounce jelly jars or 125 milliliter jars of tomato paste or pizza sauce. That is just what we can. But we also have about 12 weeks of fresh tomatoes available to us for sandwiches, salsa, pasta, stir fries, and grilled whole tomatoes. So let's say about 5 pounds per week or 60 pounds a year. All that adds up to about 250 pounds of juicy, plump, ripe tomatoes a year for our family of 2 people eating on average 1 to 2 tomato-based meals a week. If you look online, there is a very wide range, again, of how many pounds of tomatoes you can get per plant. The lowest being around 5 pounds and the highest at 80 pounds. I would like to see that tomato plant. The most common amount I found was 10 pounds per plant. But since we have a short growing season, I went with the lowest estimation at 5 pounds a plant. With a need of 250 pounds of tomatoes a year, we need 50 plants a year or 25 per person per year. It is safe to say that we plant over 50 plants per person each year. Last year, we planted around 120 plants, including the hoop house, the raised bed, the garden plot, and potted plants. We started with at least 150 seeds to get that many plants. So we grow over 10 times as much as online garden plans tell us to plant, and more than twice what we should if we use the lowest estimate of 5 pounds per plant. This does not add up. At a minimum, we should be walking away with 600 pounds of tomatoes with that many plants, or enough to feed 25 people. Man, we suck. So does that mean that we waste over 350 pounds of tomatoes a year? Probably not. But do we waste the potential of 350 pounds a year? That I might be able to get behind. We could space our plants more and spend a lot more time weeding and pruning to optimize fruit development. We could have a better pest control system, and that includes fencing in all the chickens and preventing our dog from her daily foraging trips. We chose the lowest estimate of the number of pounds per plant because of our season length. We start our seeds inside in February or March, and we grow half of our tomato plants in a hoop pouch, which extends their season. But we still have a ton of green tomatoes at the end of the year when frost hits. And then there's the tomatoes that rot on our plants. We do not harvest every day. Like most people, we are very busy, and we grow many other food crops. We do not spend 10 hours a day tickling our tomato plants. Instead, we tend to wait until there's a large enough quantity to batch process tomatoes at around 20 to 50 pounds per batch. That means that sometimes we miss the optimal harvesting window for some tomatoes. We also do not have the space to freeze that many tomatoes between canning days. Those rotten tomatoes aren't completely wasted though. They become compost or chicken treats. So what does this mean for you? Consider that what we are talking about is an annual supply of tomatoes for 2 people eating an average of 1 to 2 tomato-based meals a week. If you're a family of 4 with a similar diet of tomato-based meals, then you will need around 500 pounds of tomatoes a year. If you start with a baseline of 2.5 pounds per plant like us, then you will need at least 200 tomato plants a year. If you have a longer growing season or more time to put into gardening tomatoes, then maybe you want to use 5 or 10 pounds per plant. Like the internet says, meaning you will need 50 to 100 plants. Even at 50 plants for a family of 4, your need will far exceed the common suggestion of 4 plants per person or 16 plants a year. So get out there and start planting. When you're ready to can, come back to this video because in the description we will add links to all of our tomato canning recipes.